Yeah, hello guys, welcome and welcome. So today, before we move on to the main content, I'll just give a couple of questions for you guys to solve, like just like as a warm up. So this question is why to play. What will you play? Okay, if you see the queen is under attack, so why to play? What will you play? You can just pause the video and resume the video once you are done. Okay, so we play knight e4, of course, bishop e4, and now the winning move is rook e4, f e4, and now we play bishop c4. So this is the point. Bishop, both the bishops are deadly against the black's king. As you can see, white has many threats in the air. I mean, the important threat being the decisive threat is rook g6, and it's a mate. It's a kind of a pattern which you all can remember. If king is here and if the path is obstructed, the king's path is obstructed by pieces like this, king cannot easily escape, yeah, because it is being obstructed by his own pieces. So if you see some portions like this, immediately some tactics should pop up in your mind. Be tactically very alert and watch out for any opportunities to create any winning attack. So in this position, the threat is rook g6, and it's a forced mate where black cannot avoid anything. Let's say, for example, you just play something like this. We take here, black takes and queen takes. It's a mate because pawn is pinned by this bishop. King cannot move because this bishop is controlling the important squares, and so is the queen giving check, and it's a mate. So if you come back to the initial position, if you realize again, yeah, if you see something like this, some tactics should pop up in the mind, and watch out for tactics immediately. So here, this is the pattern. Black's king is getting mated. Okay, let's move on to the next position. So this position is why to play, what will you play. Of course, you can pause the video and resume the video once you are done solving. Okay, so if you see the number of attackers, you have 1 2 3 4, maybe you can count as half attacker at least, this pawn on f5. And if you see black's defensive pieces are not doing much, though black's pieces are near the black's king, but as we saw in the previous position, black's king cannot run away because of the pieces blocking its own path. So the winning move is f6, forcing bishop f6, and now we play queen f5. As you can see, the bishop joins the party, and it's a mate. The threat is knight f6. Once you capture with the knight, then I play queen h7, it's a mate. So this tactics is mainly working because of the king cannot run away because it is being obstructed by its own pieces. So black has to play g6, then you just play queen f6 and you just remain a piece up for nothing. So this is one more pattern. If a king is stuck, always watch out for tactics. So we'll move to the main content. Okay, in this game was played yesterday actually in St. Louis Rapid between Carlsen and Nepomniachtchi. White was Carlsen and black was Nepomniachtchi. So in this game, Carlsen played queen d3 because it was under attack anyway. So white has to move the queen, and he moved logically to d3 square. And black to play, if you try to assess the position, black has double bishops, white has bishop and knight, so which means black is having double bishop advantage. And king, whose king is more weak? That's the important question. Yeah, technically black's king in the center, black king is yet to castle, and white king has castled. So in normal words, we can assume that uncastled king is not safe in general, but in this particular position, black's pawn is on h3 and white king is on g1. If you just give one check, it's a mate. If the queen gives a check here, it's a mate. Whereas for black, all the squares surrounding the king are relatively controlled by black's pieces. This queen is controlling the d8 square, bishop on e6 is controlling the d7 square, and you just need only one move to castle. I mean, if you just place somewhere bishop e7, you can castle right away and your king is safe. So only at this point, black's king in the center might look unsafe, but more than black king, it is white's king who is in danger because of this deadly h3 pawn. So in this game, there are two ways to play. You can just play bishop e7, you try to castle, and you can safely assume that black has bishop pair, so you hold a slight edge. Or if you are a dynamic player, if you are too good in calculations and all these things, you can also see that, as I said earlier, white's king is unsafe on g1 because of this pawn. So you can try to be a little bit creative and find a way for the black queen to reach this g2 square. So it can be done by two different ways. So one is queen c5 and play queen c6, or queen b6 and queen c6. So both look relatively similar, yeah. In the end, you're landing on c6, but the path which you choose are almost similar, but there's a huge difference. So in this game, Nepomniachtchi played queen c5. Of course, it is a rapid, yeah, so we cannot complain much. After since black is threatening queen c6, Carlsen rightly played queen f3, and he stopped black from playing queen c6. And black played queen c8, and soon white was fine after bishop f4, and white was fine actually. So when I was checking with engine, I was just curious if black has more than slight edge for black. So computer suggested queen b6. So he's studying queen c6. So I was curious. Okay, what is? I didn't check one date engine. I was also trying to think by myself, and I was trying to assess the position. Okay, let's first see what if I allow black to play queen c6. For example, let's say I play bishop f4, attacking the rook. So black plays queen c6. It's a mate. White has to play f3, and now black has bishop c4. Eyeing on the rook. So let's say you move back the queen d2. I give a check. It's important to note that we are moving the bishop from its initial square to a much better square with a tempo. We are not wasting time. We are just developing our bishop with a check. So white king is forced to move, and now we just play simple rook e6. And if you see, the rook cannot move because as you can see, f3 pawn is under attack. I mean, if you just play rook of e1, I just play queen f3 and it's a mate because g1 square is controlled by this bishop. And if you threaten any mate by playing rook a d1, you're threatening mate. I cannot take on f1. Then I just simply castle, and the threat remains the same. I am going to take next move, bishop takes f1, and rook cannot move, and with this black is getting a clearly winning position. So this it's quite easy. So white cannot play bishop f4. So naturally I was thinking, what if queen f3? So I'm stopping black's queen c6. So what is black? How will black continue? So, and here computer was suggesting bishop c5, and I was like, what is bishop c5? Yeah, I mean, if I just play knight a4, that's the first move that came to my mind. It's quite natural also. Yes, your white is attacking the queen as well as attacking the bishop. So basically you're just giving the bishop pair for what? It's nothing, yeah. I mean, let's say you move the queen, I take knight c5, queen c5, and the question is, what did black achieve? What's the necessity for black to give the bishop pair for nothing? So I was curious and I was asking the engine, what if knight a4? And then it came up with simply mind-blowing move, which is bishop g4. I was like, what? Bishop g4? I mean, for 10 seconds I was completely blank. What is even computer suggesting? How to, when my point is whatever theme or pattern I see, my first question is okay. Computer found such a move, bishop g4. How am I supposed to play like this in a practical game? How will it be helpful for me to find such things in a game? So, okay, the thing is okay. If queen g4, the point is queen c6. You know, white cannot play f3 because of the bishop is pinning the pawn, and that's why black cannot play f3, and it's a forced mate on g2. So yeah, do you remember the pattern? Yeah, the first two questions which were solved, it was of similar pattern. I'm pinning the pawn, so if I create a threat, you cannot stop my threat. Actually, this was my suggestion. Computer came up with even simpler, bishop f2. So rook f2 is led to rook e1 mate. Again, the rook is pinned. So, and if bishop f2, if you play king h1, then I just give a check. It's a mate. It's nice, yeah. Queen is controlling one diagonal, and the bishop is controlling other diagonal. So it's a mate. White's king is stuck on h1. But of course, queen c6 is also a win. Queen c6 also wins. It's a forced mate. White has to play queen h3, then just rook h3. Yeah, it's easy win. But okay, that's beyond the point. So bishop g4, it's brilliant move. Yeah. So white cannot move his queen. Let's say for example queen h1. Then now I play the same trick which we saw earlier. Bishop f2, rook f2, rook e1 mate. Queen is pinning the f2 rook. So if knight b6, then we play bishop f3, and black retains double bishop advantage, and look at black's pieces are way more active than white. So knight a4 for example, because this piece was under attack. So knight moves, then bd4, bishop is being centralized, and look at the black's pieces, the placements. It's so beautiful. White's pieces are stuck, and black soon will play rook e2, and bishop f2 is always a threat which white has to be very very careful. What I mean was just for example bishop f4, rook e2. Let's say for example if rook a e1, and then the most very famous trick bishop f2 check. Of course king cannot move. So rook f2, rook e1, and black wins. This easy trick. So I just wanted to explain why white's position is so bad despite no queens on the board. So I was simply mind blown after seeing this move bishop g4. So it's a nice thing I saw in the morning. This kind of, when you see this kinds of move, especially in the morning, you'll have at least personally for me, I feel like as if I have learned something, and I feel like I have achieved something in a day. I learned something in a day. So it's not yet over. We will see more such things in this particular analysis. So I analyzed this position for quite a long time, because these positions might come, black pawn h3 and white king g1 with both colors. So I just wanted to know what all tricks are there in this particular structures, particular middle game structures. So I was just curious. So I just kept analyzing with engine for few more moves, to explore more. So I was curious, what if b4? I'm attacking the bishop. So bishop d4, and now bishop f4. Of course we know what to play. Yeah, just bishop g4 as usual, our famous trick. Queen g4 leads to queen c6, the same thing which we saw. So bishop g4, queen h1, and now computer surprised me with rook h5. When I saw quickly, I was like, what is rook h5? What is rook h5? Just moving the rook, away from the center and keeping our king open. Then I checked a bit properly. Then it said it's not rook e h5, it's rook h h5. I was like, what? Seriously? Rook h h5, bishop e5, and rook e5. And here computer was shouting that it is a huge win for black, like -3, -4, -+4. As per computer terms, it's a huge win for black. I'm like, I couldn't understand. Yeah, I understand it's black is better. I mean, white's pieces are stuck, but I couldn't understand why is it a huge win for black. That rose my curiosity even more. So I kept playing few more moves. So I played rook a c1, and I would suggest you to pause the video here and try to think how should black proceed further. Of course, I did not find when when studying this game, but maybe you can try your luck. Just pause the video and resume the video once you are done guessing the move. Okay, so if you look at the black's pieces, this let's start with bishops. Bishop is doing a good job, restricting the f2 pawn. I mean pinning the f2 pawn as well as pressurizing the f2 pawn. So it's doing good. Black's bishop is doing fine. Let's look at other bishop, g4 bishop, light square bishop. It is also doing a good job of restricting white's pieces, d1 square. And if you just get bishop f3 somehow, the queen is trapped. I mean, like for example, rook f5 and bishop f3, for example, the queen is trapped. So bishop is also doing a good job. So let's go to major pieces. Queen is also kind of doing a good job because you are pressurizing the f2 pawn. Queen and bishop are pressurizing the f2 pawn, and as well as you're defending the b7 pawn. So queen is also doing a good job. It's the rook, other major piece. Rook is also doing it's a centralized piece. Generally, any centralized piece most likely will be good for you because it controls so many squares in the center. So rook on e5 is doing a fairly good job. I'm controlling the fifth rank. I mean, for black it's fourth rank, for white it's fifth rank. So I'm controlling the fourth rank from black's point of view. At the same time, I am controlling the e1 square as well. So rook is also doing good. So computer came up with a move which is king of 8. I was like, what? Seriously? King of 8? I mean, it's difficult to find these moves, yeah? You feel like you gave up the exchange. If you just look back, you just gave up the exchange. And after giving up the exchange, it's not our tendency to play a move which doesn't consist a threat. I mean, we'll look at the forcing moves, yeah, because we gave the material. So our human tendency in general, okay, at least mine, how I think, I gave the material. So I will try to think to get something more material immediately. Not after 5-10 moves. I will look at the ways to get something within 2 to 3 moves. So I'll be thinking, what if rook f5, I'm pressurizing f2 pawn, bishop f3. Such moves comes to my mind. But actually, if you think even deeper, if it's white to play, he will most likely play knight d5, attack the queen, and there is knight c7 check. Some annoying checks might always happen. So that's the reason why black plays king f8. I mean, I was like, what? Seriously, king of 8? So many things are happening in the position, and you're just simply moving the king. And trust me, guys, it's not over as yet. Still, one more shock might come to you. So I was curious. Okay, what is black going to do? What is black going to do? You're playing a king of 8, but then I asked myself question: what is white going to do? True, white is having extra material. I mean exchange up, but the question is, what is it doing? This extra exchange on for example, f1 rook is not doing nothing other than defending the f2 pawn. For example, if white rooks on d7 c7, I mean for 7th rank, it is doing something active role, but here it is just defending the f2 pawn. Of course, it's an important pawn, but the extra material for white, it is useful more as a defender than being an attacker. So even this rook is also not doing much. But I was still curious, what is computer's point? What does it say? Show me the mate. I was like, show me the mate or show me the win, clear win. So I was curious. I just kept going. I was trying to analyze even further. So knight d5 was my natural move. I mean, what if knight d5? Then computer suggested queen b5. So okay, it's quite natural, yeah. You are attacking the d5 knight. Now if you guys realize, if king was on e8, then white has knight c7 check, forking the queen and then knight. So now we understand, yeah, black king is safe on f8. So it's important to realize that this bishop is controlling the important c8 square. So white still has no checks. So after queen b5, I'm attacking the knight. So let's say I play knight c7 anyway. I'm asking where is the queen moving. So queen d3. So black's point is to play now bishop f3, trap the queen. Of course, yeah, d1 square is still controlled, so there is no rook d1. So I was curious, I was thinking, computer was saying some other moves. I was like, wait, am I not losing the b7 pawn? Why not queen b7? I'm retaining some checks, some. Suddenly black king might look bit weak. I was curious, what if queen b7? And then, okay, you guys can again pause the video, try to think of some candidate moves, and resume the video once you are done with your suggestions. Okay, so in this position, computer coolly suggested king g8. I mean, it was another shocker for me. Just few moves back, king was on e8, which was relatively safe, but it kind of helped white for any. It kind of gave hope for white for some counterplays. And after a few moves, we just moved the king to g8. We kind of did artificial castling, and from king e8 it went to f8 and then g8. So computer's point is, if you just give a check, I will safely land on h7 and there is no more checks, because we have light square bishop which is controlling the, of course queen is also there, but most importantly black has light square bishop controlling the b1 h7 diagonal and there is no check, and knight is on c7, which is very very far to reach the f8 square to give any check. I mean, if knight is on d7, at least you can give a check on f8 for the king, but knight is on c7, it will take many moves to give the check. But again, I was still curious. I wanted to see how computer is thinking, so I just played a check, king h7, queen b7. I'm like, okay, what will what does computer want here? How are you going to win? And when I was thinking, without looking at the computer, when I was thinking how will I play, I was thinking, rook e4. Idea is to play queen f3. Basically, I'm just blocking the path of the queen by the rook. So once queen f3, it's a mate. And if you look properly, black is a material down, black is an exchange down, but all the pieces are centralized and keeping an eye on the opponent's king. Of course, h3 pawn also. h3 pawn is an important attacker actually. So all the pieces are keeping an eye on the opponent's king, whereas white's pieces, this rook is not doing anything. So is this rook, other than defending the f2 pawn, and the queen knight. All these are out of place. They are not doing anything. And of course, it's important to realize that this bishop is doing an important job of controlling all the light squares surrounding the king. So black king is very safe. So after rook e4, queen f3 is a forced win. White cannot stop black from playing queen f3. So this was my move, and I was just checking with the computer what is its suggestion, what is computer's suggestion, and it suggested rook e3. No, it's a mate. If you guys remember, if you look at the one of the two positions which we saw, I think it was first position, first warm-up position, we saw the similar pattern with the white. White rook was on b6, attacking the g6 pawn when white bishop was on c4. And here the colors are being reversed, but the pattern is same. Pattern is same. White king is on g1. We have a bishop on d4, and here in this position black has extra asset, which is h3 pawn. So rook e3 is a brilliant. The threat is rook g3. Okay, let's say I just play some random move. For example, knight b5, just to illustrate my point. So rook g3, h3, queen g3, check, of course. King h1, and now bishop f3 check. Queen f3, it's okay, it's just mate. So rook e3, if f e3, bishop e3, king h1, and now I take your rook on c1. So the point is white's rook on f1 is perfectly placed on f1. If, for example, if it moves from the first rank, then there is queen d1 mate. White's first rank becomes weak. And if it moves away from the f file, for example, if you move somewhere here, if you take the bishop for example, then there is bishop f3 check and it's a mate. I mean, soon it will be mate. So white's rook is placed perfectly on f1. It has no square to go. I mean, whichever square it jumps or transfers, something else becomes weak. And here white's rook is being attacked by the queen on d3. So the question is, how is white going to defend? If king g1, just bishop e3, it's over. And white's queen cannot really defend the rook. For example, if you play queen b5, then I have bishop f3 check. King g1, bishop e3, and it's game over. Yeah. And yeah, rook f3 is of course simple. Just queen f3, king g1, and bishop e3 mate. Of course, queen g2 is also mate, but okay. I just wanted to bring more pieces near opponent's king. So it was a nice pattern which I learned today morning. So I just wanted to share with you guys also the thing I learned with the help of computer. So it all started with here, yeah, this move. This rook at h5, the move which impressed me the most, one of the move which impressed me the most today. And after bishop e5, rook e5, rook a c1, and now king f8, stunning move. So always remember, whenever some tension is happening, not necessarily you should always go for mate, just try to play one calm move in between, non-forcing move in between, and keep the tension alive. And these kinds of calm move, according to my knowledge, I think it is Garry Kasparov who was too good in these things. I mean, as lots of actions will be going on, and suddenly he'll just play a simple calm move like h6 and king h7. He'll just play something like this and he'll win the game. So it's always important to watch out for your king. Keep asking yourself where the king is perfectly placed so that you stop your opponent's counterplay. So yeah, that's it. I think I told all the important points which I learned. And one more thing is, if you just see the pattern, the two warm-ups which you saw before this game and this game and the current game, there is a pattern repeating. So whatever you learn, just remember in the mind, remember the pattern. In some game or in some variation, it will become very helpful. And that's it for now, and see you in the next video. Thank you.